Does line diameter matter? This is a Styx finesse stick. I have 6-pound fluorocarbon on here, and this is the Styx hybrid spin, which I have 8-pound fluorocarbon on here. If I threw an identical shaky head, wacky rig, any finesse style of bait, wacky Senko, I don't care, on the 6-pound all day versus the 8-pound all day in those same spots, I'm gonna get a couple extra bites on the lighter line. Why is that? Now, you're always gonna hear these talks, okay, where people are talking about, it doesn't matter, just one line's thicker than the other. You get a better feel with the lighter line. It gets down to the bottom faster because it's thinner and it cuts the water so you can feel the bottom a little bit better. Okay, let me tell you something right now. Fish feel as good as they see, as good as they hear. Everybody knows, don't mind my little pretend fish here. See that black line right there? That's a lateral line. This is like the fish's inner ear, okay? These guys are surrounded in mass all day. It's not like air. If someone walks by you and whiffs their hand, you have to be close to feel the air. If something lands in the water, even if they can't hear it in a marina, even if that water's black and they can't see it, I guarantee you've finesse fished in muddy water before and still caught some of these bad boys. They can feel it. That is their sixth sense. A bass's sixth sense is feel. Now, if I cast out 10-foot of line, they're probably not feeling as much as if I cast 100 feet of line. Now, what is that? That little tiny diameter is mass. This is why your lure falls and there's a bow in your line, okay? There's mass. They feel that. Is it changing the way your lure is working on heavier line versus lighter line? It absolutely is. Do you get more movement out of a finesse bait on lighter line? You absolutely do. But if that was true, if it was just how the line is moving your lure, then why wouldn't we all use a 20-pound fluorocarbon with a loop knot? Why wouldn't we do that? Why wouldn't we do that? Easier to manage? No. No, it's because fish can feel it. Hydrodynamic is how something cuts through the water. The lighter the line, naturally, the more bites you will get, but you start to increase your risk factor of breaking off. And I'll give a prime example of this. A lot of people will say, if you're using a big lure, use a big line. The bigger the lure, the less likely the fish care about it. And for example, let me grab something. I have Alabama rig right here. All right, this is on my Styx power stick. And this is 20-pound fluorocarbon line. Now, that's a big presence. Wires all over it. Is it distracting to the line? Sure, it can be. Let's say you have a fish tied to your anchor rope. If they're hungry enough and they want that fish is swirling around, they're gonna go get it because the opportunity's great. But believe it or not, even with this 20-pound fluorocarbon and that big bulky rig on there, if I could get away with throwing this on 10, which I can't, and I do not suggest that, the minimal I throw it on is like 20 or 15-pound fluorocarbon, or I'll use braid, but if I can use 10, oddly enough, even with all this right here, I will catch more fish. And that is a simple fact of the matter. I've been fishing my whole life. Now, you could say, all right, well, so I got a big lure and I need a heavy, heavy line. So for example, a big swim bait, let me grab one right here. So this pulse tail trout, for example, we were shooting a commercial. For those of you guys don't know, I'm the spokes guy for Savage Gear Americas. I helped co-design this bait with Jose Chavez. So this big swim bait right here, I'm typically throwing this on 20-pound fluorocarbon. Well, me and my buddy Josh Paris went out to shoot the commercial with Sam Root, the videographer, all right? We both hooked a 6-pounder and lost it halfway back to the boat on the first day of the commercial shoot, throwing 20-pound. So my buddy Josh says, let's drop down to 15. We dropped down to 15. The following day, we have 3 hookups, boat 2, lose 1. Big swim baits, it's very common to lose fish. It's a big, heavy, massive lure, but it also triggers much bigger fish than average. So Sam said, man, it would really be better if we can get a couple more good shots. So what Josh did, a little braver than me, he actually tied that on with 12-pound test. And you would think with a lure with this much mass. Now, did he get more action? Minor, maybe minor. It's a very subtle swimming bait. But on 12-pound test, Josh had 5 hookups. Very, very cautious about setting the hook. Had to reel set into it. That's a big stout hook right there. So, is it just the action? Is it just how your bait's falling? No, it is everything to do with the hydrodynamics of the line. It's the mass of the line. They can feel it. You got to remember, you're bringing it typically past that fish before that fish sees that lure. Remember, you have all this traveling. And remember, when bass are tiny, they were eating zooplankton, microorganisms. These fish are designed by nature to feed on the easiest opportunities they can from the moment they are born. They know your line is there. They feel that your line is there. And the reason why I believe a lot of big fish typically mess up for topwater is they don't feel your line and they can't make it out. But I think the line being up there on the surface is very important. This is why when we throw frogs and stuff like 65-pound, 80-pound braid, they don't feel it. And another thing with punching too, you ever see when guys are going through those mats, you can get away with 80, 100-pound braid and 1.5 ounce weight. They don't feel the line. All it is the mass coming through the surface, the mat, and it's dropping straight to them. It's never passing them. Anytime it's passing a bass, the line plays a very substantial factor. So if you can get away with lighter line, you absolutely should. I'm Nick, the Informative Fisherman, guys. Make sure to follow me on all the popular social media channels. See you next time.